Hello all, and welcome to our ZoidRush video. I'm your host, Tmzoids, and today we're going to be talking about NA Worlds and TSM specifically because let's just talk about TSM. This gives me my opportunity and just to make you TSM fans mad. That's all I go in life for, supposedly. I'm just a TSM hater. But before we get to TSM, NA's Worlds once again run is over. It seems that we kind of came to a exciting end, as you can say, almost in a way. You know, compared from last year, almost. We were close. We were this close to getting to the next stage, out of quarters to semis. That's the goal, right? So, long story short, though, we go and off starting at group stage. It just seems that disappointment from NA yet again in the group stages, and I'm not too sure where we can fix this. It just seems that there's not really a dominating NA team where that comes in there and you're like, okay, well, they're definitely going to win their group, which we'll talk about in a second here because I feel like people thought that for a specific team, but I don't think that was the case. But NA, once again, kind of struggled just overall in groups, and people are like, well, what about Cloud9? And all the Cloud9 fans are freaking out right now. Yes, Cloud9 did get out of groups. TSM and Immortals sadly have fallen victim yet again to the Week 2 memes of NA, so that is that. But I say that Cloud9 and just NA in general is not strong group stages because it was awfully close for Cloud9. It was like Cloud9 gets very lucky because they have to like bank off of like one team, like bank off a team that wins the game or dominates the game, that they're like, okay, if you just win this game, we're fine, you're good. And it usually always happens for Cloud9. I don't know why, but Cloud9 seems to be very lucky with that stuff. That being said, I don't know how to fix NA's best of ones. I don't feel like NALCS and EULCS going back to best of ones is really going to be beneficial in that aspect. It's just because some teams just struggle in best of ones, and I don't know. It's just that. It's just teams just don't know how to do best of ones. That's just long story short. They depend on long-term games, and that's where TSM comes in specifically. TSM and not really Immortals, but TSM and G2 are two teams that throughout the split, yeah, NA and EU, of course, split, they both struggled with best of ones. They lost a lot of their first games against NA teams and EU teams, and they just kind of sucked. And you know, everybody's gonna be like, well, TSM is never known for the best of ones. Like, they always lose game one. It's nothing new. And you're like, and you're right, you're right. And I know this camera, by the way, is off center, so I'm going to fix it now because we do one take here. Because fuck that, right? That's not much better, but anyway, that's okay. You can see more back the room. So, OCD people right now are going, what the fuck? So, that being said, NA it's struggling. It's struggling, NA. And TSM, I think, always struggle with that, and G2 struggles with that, and I think that's one of the reasons is that it's very hard for them just to get out of groups in general. It's not just because they're a shitty team or they had just teams stacked against them and this and that. It's because they just don't know how to play game one and just win game one. That's what it comes down to, and especially in the like first stage of Worlds, it's always the best ones. The elimination stage is best ones, best ones, best ones, and I feel like TSM overall should adapt, and G2 should overall and adapt. And we just don't see that yet with those teams. And maybe that'll change in the future. But once again, NA did strong in week one. Mortals looked like they were going to get out of their group, and I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And TSM had the easiest group, quote-unquote easiest group there, and it looked like they were going to get out of their group, and Cloud9 is doing well, and you're just like, oh, Cloud9 has one of the harder groups, and what the fuck's going on? What the fuck? And Misfits, I guess, also had a hard group, quote-unquote hard group. We'll get to that in a second. But week 2 came along, and the memes started rolling in, and Immortals just lost 4 games in a row. I was kind of disappointed because this was Immortals' like time to shine, and they kind of fell short, in my opinion. Like, they they just dropped the ball. Like they lost to everybody. When you lose 4 games in a row, and it's not just the shit on them. It's just like it's just so disappointing how just they couldn't adapt or really change anything up to really fix what was wrong. So that was disappointing. And then you had TSM choke and just lose stupid games and losing to Flash Wolves, and it was just like. But Cloud9 got out, got to quarters, and then they fought RNG, bringing it to a 5-game series, which is amazing, and it was pretty good. I like it. I like what they did, or World Elite. Why did I say RNG? I just did the same thing Worlds did. They did that at the stage pick there. Um, but they brought them to 5 games, and World Elite. I'm surprised because I figured that World Elite was going to dominate more, in my opinion. Just be a lot stronger in the game. But I'm proud of Cloud9. Cloud9 continuously brings it up at Worlds. I mean, it just seems like they just need to get over that hump. They're getting there, but they don't know. It's something to do. Well, they were pretty close this year, but just right there at semis. They're that close. And then if NA repeats itself, they won't get to quarters next split, or they'll just get stomped on next quarters, and it will just be like, what happened from this quarters to or this worlds to this worlds? You're like, what? Come on, guys. And it'll be blamed on internal issues or management sucks, blah blah blah. That's always what we hear. But I wanted to focus on TSM for a little bit with the next 4 minutes. I'm going to try and keep it in 10 minutes, but I wanted to focus on TSM because TSM, and I've mentioned this in other videos, Fnatic, were like your giants that kind of represent NA as a whole. And when I say giants, I say these teams have been in Worlds like almost every year. TSM's been in Worlds, I don't know about Season 1, but for sure Season 2, Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, Season 6. I mean, they've been in every Worlds, it seems like. And same thing with Fnatic. I think Fnatic didn't make it to Worlds last year, but other than that, Fnatic's been in every Worlds and won a Worlds. So they kind of represent their region in a way. I'm not saying they're the end-all, be-all. I'm not saying it's all their fault that any lost or EU lost. It's just, why, guys? No, that's not what I'm getting at. But when it comes to TSM, I'm disappointed. And it's not because I'm a TSM fan or I hate TSM or this or that or blah, blah, blah. I'm disappointed because it seems like TSM constantly is dominating the game in NALCS. And you can't even say that they didn't have competition this year. You can't say that, every year it's just a different excuse. Oh, they didn't have this, they didn't have this, they didn't have this. And it's just like, why? Why do we give so many excuses to TSM of why they sucked and why they just constantly disappoint and just let you down? And it's like they had the most dominant team you're going to see in a while. And it was like that last year too, in my opinion. I mean, you have Double F in the bot lane. You have Bjergsen in the mid lane. You had fucking Haunter, which is one year you can argue the best top three tops in NA. You have Swafen, but we'll get to that in a second. The jungler, who seems to be struggling from SK Gaming. He's going down slowly. And then you have Biofrost, which is a decent support, even when you had Lustboy or any other support. It's just like they know what they're doing. They could pull off plays, and they synergize so well with their ADC, whoever it may be, if it be Wild Turtle, if it be Double Lift. They just synergize so well, and they're doing so well, and they dominate the bot lane, they dominate the mid lane. But why can't they just pull through? Why can't they get to the quarters? And this is when Cloud9 comes in. Cloud9, yeah, NA is gone. NA gets eliminated, but as you can say, Cloud9 has reached more quarters. Cloud9 has consistently, or stay consistent, at least getting better, or progressing to a next tier almost. It's like, oh, they're right there, quarters. And you're like, well, they didn't really progress because they've been stuck at quarters and group stages for the last couple of years, which is fine. That's fine. So they're not really progressing, but they're getting farther. They're farthest NA team, I would say, if not the farthest. Second close. I mean, and TSM's been there, but they've done it constantly. It's not like, oh, 1 year they did it and then they're done. So it's just like disappointment from TSM, and it just seems like and I've mentioned this before, and people would jump on me on this. They're like, you can't focus on this world. You need to continue going forward. You just can't dwell on the past. And I'm not saying dwell on it. I'm not sitting there and like let it fuck with your mind. Be like, oh my god, season 6 worlds. Oh my god, season 2 worlds. Why did I lose that one? I'm not saying that, but what are we learning from these worlds? Like, what is a TSM? What is Cloud9 taking from these worlds, and what are they bringing back? And it's like, I'm just tired of the same old excuses. We brought the best of threes because you thought, oh, TSM or NA has a better chance now because Korea always does best of fives, and now NA can do best of threes and be a-okay because they have more chances to adapt and learn the game that way. Now they're going back to best of ones, and now everybody's like, well, this is probably better. This is for group stages because this is the first step. Because if you can't do what good in game one, then you kind of don't do good at all. Blah blah blah, and it just it's just frustrating. It's just so disappointing to see TSM do constantly well in NALCS or dominate the NALCS and then turn around and just suck ass. Like, they don't, it's like they don't show up, they choke, they look worried or blah blah blah, and it's the same thing every year. We won't disappoint you, this is our year, we'll represent you well, and you're sitting here going, what the fuck are you talking about? Because you're not doing any of that. And I can't even speak to that as a TSM fan. I'm just speaking that as an NA general fan. Like, you dominated NALCS. You know what to do. You've been to multiple worlds, and I think that's the biggest thing that I just can't get over is that TSM has been to the most amount of worlds when it comes to like in the region, and that's why I say he's like the giant of that. And I say Fnatic's the giant of EU because they've been to the most amount of worlds and they've represented NA and EU the most amount of times. Even though they're not the only team, it's like you know what's coming. You've scrimmed, and that's another thing. You scrim. You go months for scrimming against these teams, and you know what they're gonna do. They pull out this, they beat you at this time, blah blah blah, and it just, holy cow, it blows my mind. And the fact that TSM was just getting dominated in the early game and they didn't fix it at all, it's just like, it's just like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, you make no sense. Like, why can't you adapt? And is it the patch? And then are you going to blame the patch? Okay, it's the patch's fault. But we've heard this one before. Oh, there's internal problems. We've heard this before. Like, there shouldn't be any issues going into Worlds. Like, this is the wrong time to have issues if you're going to have issues. And I guess you could say TSM or CLG suffered this kind of. And I guess it's semi-true, but it's still not an excuse. Like, you guys made it to Worlds. Your team is dominating. You should put it all, give it your all, and give it 110%. And it just, I just don't see it from TSM. It just, that's why I shit on them so much, or I talk about them so much and pick on them. Is because this team that dominates and does so well and gets all this praise, you know, the chants and the logo and the branding and these sponsors. I'm just like, why? Why do you get all this stuff? Why are you one of the giants in NA that does can get good talent and constantly do well in NA and or LCS, and then just turn around and just disappoint us? So, and I just feel like TSM should be the farthest in Worlds. Like, they should be at quarters every year. They should be at getting to semis or reaching semis and falling there. Like, what is it that just, it just blows my mind. I can't even explain it. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and nitpick every play and nitpick this and just like, I just don't know what to say anymore. Like, every year we go through the same thing and then it just disappears. Everybody forgets about this Worlds. It's like, oh well, yeah, NA is out. Let's cheer for this team, and then Worlds is over and it just never happened. And that's what bugs me even more. It's like, how could you just ignore all these Worlds? Like, how many times can you get to Worlds and constantly fuck up or mess up, and then people are just like, oh, it's okay, TSM, oh my god, represent the region, and then they win MSI or they lose MSI, and there's like, oh, TSM sucks again, and then TSM dominates NALCS, and everybody's like, oh, TSM's the best again. It's just like what? You're not good because you keep constantly losing what matters most. It's like Worlds. The World Championship is right here, and you keep falling short, TSM. And that's how I'm gonna end it. You keep falling short. Congratulations to Cloud9 to keep on pushing there and showing some oomph in NA and breaking the week 2 meme of the NA, and giving up a good fight to World Elite. So I'm proud of you, Cloud9. And hopefully next year we see the changes that we need.